Warning: do not watch this alone. Some places don't want to be visited, they want to be fed. Deep in the canals of Xochimilco, Mexico, there is an island locals refuse to name. After sunset, boats pass it in silence. Oars slow down, eyes turn away. Because on this island, nothing blinks, yet everything watches. This place is known to the world as Isla de las Muñecas, the island of the dolls. But before the dolls, there was only one man. His name was Don Julian Santana Barrera. He came to the island decades ago, seeking isolation, a quiet life, no visitors, no voices, just water, trees, and rot. But shortly after he arrived, something happened that would change the island forever. Don Julian found the body of a young girl, floating near the shore. No one knows how she drowned. No one knows where she came from. No one ever claimed her body. But Don Julian believed she never left. He said the air changed after that day. The water felt heavier. The nights felt crowded. He claimed he began hearing footsteps behind him, even when he was alone. He heard a child crying near the water at night, and sometimes a soft voice calling his name from the trees. Not screaming, not begging, just waiting. To protect himself, Don Julian hung a doll from a tree, an offering, something to distract the spirit. But the crying didn't stop, so he added another doll, then another, then dozens. The dolls were not new. They were broken, missing eyes, cracked faces, severed limbs, found in trash piles, canals, abandoned houses. Each one was a testament to decay, hung up to appease something that wouldn't rest. Soon, the island stopped feeling empty. Don Julian claimed the dolls watched him, that they changed positions, that sometimes he would wake up to find dolls facing his hut, when he knew he hadn't placed them that way. Visitors who came during the day said the island felt wrong, too quiet, too aware. They said the dolls' eyes followed them, that whispers moved through the leaves, even when there was no wind. Some swore they heard laughter, not adult laughter, children's laughter. By the 1980s, the island was no longer a shrine, it was a warning, and Don Julian stopped leaving. He lived there for decades, alone with thousands of watching faces, until the island decided it was time to take something back. For nearly 50 years, Don Julian lived among the dolls, his silent, plastic companions. He became as much a part of the island's legend as the dolls themselves. People who knew him said he changed over the years. He grew more withdrawn, more convinced of the island's haunting. He spoke to the dolls, treated them like his own children. He would arrange them, clean them, and even bring them little gifts he found. The island became his entire world, a self-imposed prison guarded by an army of decaying sentinels. He told his family that the dolls were his protectors, but also that they were demanding. They needed more company. Always more. He spent his days paddling his small boat through the canals, not fishing for food, but for discarded dolls. Every piece of plastic junk was a potential guardian, another set of eyes to join the silent vigil. The collection grew from dozens to hundreds, and then to thousands. The trees groaned under their weight. They hung from every branch, every fence post, every surface. Their empty sockets stared out over the dark water, their silent screams trapped behind plastic lips. They were a macabre audience to Don Julian's solitary life. But what happens when the caretaker of a haunted place becomes part of the haunting himself? In Lansenling, Don Julian's nephew came to visit him. He found his uncle Don Julian floating in the canal, in the exact same spot where, 50 years earlier, Don Julian claimed to have found the body of the little girl. The official cause of death was a heart attack, but the locals have a different story. They say the island finally collected its due. They say the dolls, or the spirit of the girl, grew tired of waiting. They say you can still hear them whispering his name at night. Is the story true? Did a little girl really drown there? Or was it all a story, created by a lonely man descending into madness? No one knows for sure. There are no official records of a drowned girl from that time. Some say Don Julian invented the story, that his guilt over not being able to save her, or perhaps his own mental breakdown, fueled the creation of this terrifying monument. Maybe the island wasn't haunted when he arrived, but he brought the ghosts with him. His grief, his fear, his obsession, they soaked into the soil, into the trees, and gave life to the plastic eyes that now watch over his final resting place. But what about the visitors? The ones who still go there today? The island is now a tourist attraction, a dark pilgrimage for those brave enough to make the journey. And the stories haven't stopped. In fact, they've gotten stranger. People leave coins, candy, and even more dolls as offerings. They say it's to appease the spirits, to show respect. But maybe they're just feeding the hunger of the island. Tourists regularly report seeing the dolls move their heads, open their eyes, or whisper to each other just out of earshot. Electronic devices malfunction, cameras fail. People feel an overwhelming sense of being watched, of being unwelcome. Some visitors have even captured what they claim is paranormal evidence. Audio recordings with faint children's voices saying, "I want my doll," or "I am here." Photos with strange orbs or shadowy figures lurking among the trees. One of the most famous dolls on the island is called La. Don Julian believed this was the original doll, the one that held the most powerful connection to the drowned girl's spirit. Visitors often leave offerings specifically for her, praying she will grant them a miracle. But others say her gaze is the most malevolent of all, that she is the queen of this plastic court, and that she is the one who orchestrates the whispers and the movements. Many have tried to spend the night on the island, to test their courage against the legend. Few last until morning. They report the sounds of a child sobbing, of small feet running through the undergrowth, and the unmistakable feeling of tiny, cold plastic hands brushing against their skin in the dark. They describe the air becoming thick and suffocating as soon as the sun goes down, as if the island itself is holding its breath, waiting for them to break. So, what is really happening on the island of the dolls? Is it a mass delusion, fueled by a tragic story and a terrifying landscape? Is it the spirit of a lost child, forever trapped and demanding attention? Or has 50 years of obsession and fear created something new? Something that now lives in the cracked plastic and hollow eyes of 1,000 dolls, watching, waiting, and forever hungry for new visitors. The boatmen who take you there will tell you to be respectful. Don't mock the dolls. Don't take anything from the island. And whatever you do, don't look them in the eyes for too long. Because some say, if you stare long enough, you might just see them blink back. The truth remains buried deep in the muddy waters of the Xochimilco canals. As mysterious as the fate of the little girl, and as unsettling as the smile on a broken doll's face, the island is a testament to how grief can become a horror story, and how a place can hold on to that story long after its author is gone. Don Julian may be gone, but his work, his obsession, his legion of silent watchers, remains. Years later, Don Julian was found dead, floating in the same canal, in the exact same spot where the little girl had drowned so many decades before. The official report was simple: no signs of struggle, no wounds, no clear explanation, but the locals, the people who lived their lives on the canals of Xochimilco, they tell a different story. They say the island didn't kill him, it accepted him. He had become one of its own. After his death, the strange activity on the island didn't stop. In fact, it intensified. Visitors who dared to make the journey began reporting things that were impossible to explain. Dolls, their heads once fixed, would be seen turning slowly on their own, their glassy eyes following people as they walked past. Dolls with painted shut eyes were found later with them wide open, staring into the souls of anyone who looked too closely. And then there were the whispers. Faint, like the rustling of leaves, but clear enough to make out words. They would call people by name, even first-time visitors who had never spoken their name aloud on the island. Imagine walking through that maze of hanging bodies and hearing a child's voice whisper your name right behind you. When you turn, there's nothing but 1,000 decaying plastic faces. Some claim that if you stay quiet enough at night, you can hear the dolls humming. Not a song, but a low guttural vibration that seems to emanate from the ground itself, carrying through the gnarled trees. The boat operators, the China Perros, who know these waters better than anyone, they refuse to dock at the island after sunset. They know what happens when the light fades. Those who have ignored the warnings, the thrill seekers and skeptics, have paid a price. They report an overwhelming wave of nausea and dizziness the moment their feet touch the island's soil. A sense of dread so powerful, it triggers full-blown panic attacks. One man, a burly tourist who laughed at the stories, claimed he felt small, cold hands tugging at the bottom of his shirt, pulling him deeper into the island. Another swore on his life that as he was leaving, a doll with a cracked face whispered a single, chilling word: "Stay." Photographers have had their own terrifying experiences. They review their pictures later, only to find faces that were not there in real life. Ghostly, translucent faces peering from between the dolls, their eyes hollow and dark. Faces lurking in the deep shadows of the trees, watching, always watching. These aren't just tricks of the light. They are apparitions caught on film, their expressions frozen in silent agony. Paranormal investigators have flocked to the island, armed with the latest technology, hoping to capture definitive proof. But something on the island seems to fight back. Brand new cameras and fully charged batteries fail instantly upon arrival. EMF meters scream with erratic readings before shutting down completely. Yet, their audio recorders sometimes capture what the human ear misses. Eerie voices, disembodied and clear, speaking in languages the investigators don't even understand. One phrase, however, repeats across multiple recordings, captured by different teams on different nights, sometimes in Spanish, sometimes in English, sometimes in languages no one can identify. The message is always the same: he's still here. This has led to a new, even more terrifying theory. Some believe the dolls are not possessed by the spirit of the little girl. They believe the dolls are containers. That Don Julian, in his grief and madness, didn't hang the dolls to scare away the tormented spirit. He gave it places to live, thousands of them, and now, the island is still collecting. Every doll brought by a visitor, every forgotten toy left behind, becomes another vessel, another home for the spirits that inhabit this place. Visitors who manage to leave the island say it doesn't feel like an escape. It feels like you've been allowed to go, but something has stayed with you. The real horror begins after you're back in the safety of your own home. The nightmares start: vivid dreams of drowning, of being surrounded by dolls with moving eyes. The faint sound of a child's voice returns, whispering from the dark corners of your room. The feeling of being watched never, ever fades. They say if a doll falls from its branch into the murky water of the canal, you don't have to worry about retrieving it. Within a day or two, it will wash back onto the island's shore. Because nothing ever truly leaves this island. Not the living, not the spirits, and not even the dead. Subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a new nightmare.